Every decade, they reinvent the same lie. 2000, dot-coms. 2008, real estate. 2025, artificial intelligence. Different buzzword, same playbook. Inflate the market, sell the dream, cash out before it crashes, and guess who's left holding the bag? Again, the numbers look too good to be real, because they are. These companies are losing billions, yet the market calls it innovation. Every fake partnership, every billion-dollar deal is just leverage dressed up as growth. The same dollar changing names on a spreadsheet until someone stops believing. And when belief dies, markets die. And when markets die, you're saving, go with them. 7 companies control your future. Not the government, not the economy. 7 companies: Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, Meta, Google, Tesla. They make up 34% of the S&P 500. If you have a 401k, a pension, anything, you're betting on them, and they're not making money. They're losing billions, but the stock keeps going up. Why? Because they're passing the same money back and forth and calling it growth. Let me show you how the trick works. Oracle just agreed to pay OpenAI $300 billion over the next 5 years. $300 billion. Now, OpenAI is hemorrhaging money. They'll lose $8.5 billion this year. They admit they won't be profitable until 2029. So how does a company losing billions sign a $300 billion deal? They don't have the money. They are promising to pay with money they haven't made yet, but here's where it gets insane. Oracle takes that $300 billion commitment and uses it to buy chips from Nvidia, billions of dollars in chips. Then Nvidia turns around and says, you know what? We're investing $100 billion in OpenAI. And what does OpenAI do with Nvidia's money? They buy Nvidia chips. Follow the money, Oracle pays OpenAI. OpenAI owes Oracle computing power. Oracle buys from Nvidia. Nvidia invests in OpenAI. OpenAI buys from Nvidia. It's a circle. The same money going around and around. Microsoft counts it as revenue, books it as cloud growth. Stock goes up, your 401k goes up. But nobody's actually making money. They're just moving it. It's like, I hand you 100. You hand me back that same 100. We both tell everyone we made 100. That's fraud, right? Unless you're a Fortune 500 company, then it's called strategic partnerships. This is happening with hundreds of billions of dollars. And when the music stops, your retirement is the one holding nothing. But it gets worse, because watch what happens when someone knows the game is ending. September 22nd, OpenAI announces their Nvidia deal. Big celebration, major partnership. 2 weeks later, October 6th, OpenAI announces another deal, this time with AMD. AMD is Nvidia's competitor. Why would you sign a massive deal with Nvidia and then 2 weeks later sign with their competitor? Because you're desperate, because you need more money, because the bills are coming due and you don't have enough investors yet. Then it's Broadcom, $500 billion, then Walmart, then Anthropic with IBM. The deals aren't slowing down, they're speeding up, bigger and bigger commitments, faster and faster. And every single one of these deals, your retirement account is treating it like proof the economy is strong. It's not. It's proof they're running out of time. See, here's what nobody's telling you. Those 7 companies I mentioned, Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, Meta, Google, Tesla, they're 34% of the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is supposed to track 500 companies. It's supposed to be diversified, safe, stable. But 7 companies control a third of it. And all 7 are tied to AI deals, which means if you have a 401k, a pension, a target date fund, any retirement account, your financial future depends on Sam Altman finding more investors. That's it. That's the plan. Keep finding new money to pay old promises. Now, does that sound familiar? It should, because that's how a Ponzi scheme works. And here's the kicker. If you remove the Magnificent 7 from the S&P 500s, the stock market hasn't grown in 2 years. Your retirement isn't growing because the economy is strong. It's growing because 7 companies are inflating stock prices while losing billions. The entire market is being held up by hype. And when the hype dies, your 401k dies with it. This has happened before. And every time you paid for it, 2000, dot-com bubble. Companies with no revenue got millions just for having .com in their name. It crashed. If you were in tech, you lost everything. But most people, they were okay. 2008, real estate. Banks gave mortgages to people who couldn't afford them, called them safe investments, sold them to your pension fund. It crashed. $16 trillion in wealth, gone. 10 million families lost their homes. Unemployment hit 10%. And you know what happened next? You bailed out the banks. $498 billion in taxpayer money to the same banks that caused it. They got bonuses that year. You got unemployed? 2020, COVID. Economy shuts down, unemployment spikes to 14.7%. People lose their homes again. And while you're deciding between rent and groceries, billionaires got 58% richer every decade. A bubble, a crash, and every single time. You pay. But this AI bubble, it's 17 times bigger than .com, 4 times bigger than 2008. In this time, it's not just one industry. AI is in healthcare now, diagnosing your diseases. Insurance companies use it to decide your premiums. Schools use it to grade your kids. Banks use it for loans. Power grids run on it. Supply chains depend on it. The US government alone has invested $328 billion since 2019. When .com crashed, it hit tech investors. When housing crashed, it hit homeowners. When AI crashes, there's nowhere to hide. And the people building this, they already know. Mark Zuckerberg built a 4,500 square foot bunker in Hawaii. Underground, reinforced concrete, the size of a basketball court. When a reporter asked him about it, he laughed it off, called it a little shelter. A basketball court is not a little shelter. Sam Altman, the guy running OpenAI, signing all these deals. He has an escape plan with billionaire Peter Thiel, private jet to New Zealand. When it happens, not if, when. Reid Hoffman, co-founder of LinkedIn, says half of his billionaire friends have escape plans. Secret hideaway, apocalypse insurance. They call it that, apocalypse insurance. If AI is going to save humanity, if it's going to create abundance, if everything is going to be fine, why are they hiding? Because they know. Journalist Douglas Rushkoff met with tech billionaire private event. They wanted advice, not on how to build the future, on how to survive the collapse. He said,
right, so they wanted to know mainly how to prepare for the inevitable collapse of society. It just struck me that here are the wealthiest and most powerful men I've ever encountered, yet they feel utterly powerless to influence the digital future, that the best they can do is prepare for the inevitable collapse and, insulate themselves from the reality that they're creating.
Did you hear that? They feel powerless to stop it. They're not trying to fix it. They're not warning you. They're building escape pods. Ilya Sutskever, OpenAI's former chief scientist, talked about building underground shelters for top scientists before they release AGI to the world. Not after, before. They know what happens when they press that button, and they're planning to hide before they press it, while your money is still in the market. Remember what they told you? AI would do the boring work, so you could be creative, so you could focus on what matters. That was the lie. Right now, AI is replacing entry-level jobs, the jobs your kids need to start their careers, the jobs you needed to get where you are. And the people who still have jobs, they're doing more work with fewer coworkers for the same pay. That's not abundance, that's extraction. And corporations are already admitting it's not working. MIT studied companies using AI. 95% saw no return on investment, no productivity gains, no profit increase, nothing. Just layoffs and stock buybacks in hope that the hype lasts long enough for executives to cash out. Sam Altman said if he were 22 today, he'd feel like the luckiest kid in history because you have ChatGPT. Never mind you can't afford a house. Never mind wages haven't moved since 2009. Never mind people aren't having kids because they can't afford them. Who needs economic security when you can ask a chatbot to write your resume for the job that doesn't exist anymore? We don't know when this bubble bursts, but we know who pays. In 2008, people who didn't even own homes lost their jobs. And taxpayers, you paid $498 billion to bail out banks, the same banks that caused the crash. This time, it's bigger. It's everywhere. And they're already prepared. They have bunkers. You have a 401k that's 34% invested in 7 companies, all betting on an industry that's losing billions. When it crashes, and it will, you won't have a jet to New Zealand. You'll have a retirement account worth half what it was. They're building bunkers. That should tell you everything. Look, I can't tell you what to do with your 401k. I'm not a financial advisor, but I can ask you a question. What if there was a way to build income that didn't depend on the stock market, that didn't care if Nvidia's stock crashed tomorrow, that couldn't be wiped out by Sam Altman running out of investors? Income that hits your account every month, whether the economy is up or down. Would you want to know about it? Now, you've probably heard about people making money publishing books on Amazon, and maybe you thought, that's oversaturated. That ship sailed years ago. I'm not a writer. I get it. I thought the same thing, until I saw what changed. See, something happened in the last 18 months. Something most people publishing on Amazon don't even know about yet. And it has everything to do with the same AI these billionaires are betting on. Except this time, you're the one who profits, not them. Now, I'm not going to explain it here, because honestly, if I told you, you'd think it sounds too easy, and you wouldn't believe me anyway. That's why I put together a free 5-day challenge, not to convince you, but to show you, because there's something happening on Amazon right now, something most publishers don't know about yet. It has to do with their AI content policy, not the part people think they know, the part Amazon doesn't advertise. And the publishers who figured it out, they're not talking about it. They're just quietly publishing and making money. I can't explain it in a YouTube video, not because it's complicated, but because without context, it just sounds like another too good to be true pitch. You need to see the why before the how makes sense. That's what this challenge does. It walks you through why this opportunity exists right now and didn't exist before. What Amazon's AI policy actually says versus what people think it says. How to ethically use AI to create content that passes Amazon's guidelines. How to validate your idea in 15 minutes before you waste time. And how to build a publishing system that creates income, whether the stock market goes up or down. Look, your 401k is invested in 7 companies gambling on AI. The same AI they're gambling billions on. You could be using to create assets that pay you. Every month, they're using AI to inflate stock prices. You could be using it to build income. They're building bunkers. You could be building a backup plan. The challenge is free, 5 days. Links in the description. I'm not going to beg you to join. Either you're curious or you're not. Either you want to see what's actually possible or you're comfortable where you are. But I'll promise you this, you're going to see something most people don't know exists. And once you see it, you're going to wonder why nobody told you this 5 years ago. See you inside, or not, your call.